Welcome to our study in the book of Psalms. We are already at song number 94. This one we have titled Vengeance Belongs to the Lord, and this is a good chapter, a good psalm. It's really really tough up front, and you'll see exactly what I mean when we get to it, but then it is a blessing at the end. As usual, we have the outline of the book of Psalms, and if you noticed in your Bible, it probably makes these little reference notes. Book 1 to start off with, 1 to 41, and when you start 42, it would have that. If not, it might be a good idea to put these in, because in the Hebrew Bible, the book of Psalms is 5 books. Here's our introduction. The author of this psalm, we do not know who it is, and there is nothing about concerning musical instructions or dedications in the prescript of this psalm. Chronologically, it fits in around 2 Kings 25:12 and a corresponding passage in 2 Chronicles 36:21. The date is around 586 BC, and the backstory is what's hard and sad. King Nebuchadnezzar and his army from Babylon have just totally defeated and destroyed the city of Jerusalem. Thousands, tens of thousands have been killed, and tens of thousands are taken to Babylon to serve the empire. Only God can do something. Only God has the ability to stop things. He does not, but he gives some hope. Here is the outline of this, and it's just 2 points. And the psalmist cries out, and he says, at first, Lord, give them back what they gave us. And we find that basically in the first half of the chapter, 1 through 11. And so this is the revenge of God, the vengeance of God is being asked for immediately. Said, what they have just totally destroyed us, and they're taking us into slavery. Lord, it's their turn. You do the same thing to them. But then after realization, we have the song completely change, and all of a sudden there is acceptance to the judgment hand of God upon them. And where the psalmist says, Lord, send us some hope that we are not forgotten, that when we've left this land, we just don't disappear out of memory of the culture that we ever lived. And so that's found in verses 12 through 23. So let's look at the first 11 verses, and bear in mind that Israel has just been defeated. Jerusalem has been burned down. The temple has been raided of all the treasures. Jews will be left in the land, but they tend not to be the wealth or the ones that can, let's put it this way, the ones that can help the empire and strengthen the empire, they take. Those that are poor and out and sickly, they are left behind. All right, so verse 1, O Lord God, and this is a big name for the Lord here. Lord is Jehovah here, or means the existing one, and God is El, which is mighty one. And so he is saying, O existing one, O Jehovah, the mighty one, to whom vengeance belongs. And then comes back again with God, which is El, which is mighty one, to whom vengeance belongs. Show yourself. And so there's an acknowledgement twice about that God can bring vengeance upon somebody. And so the psalmist is asking, show yourself. And it's true that vengeance is what the Lord would do to other nations. But this time, he had done it to Israel. Lift up yourself, you judge of the earth. Render a reward to the proud. Render is to turn back and just do a reversal of just what's happened and reward or recompense these proud Babylonians. And it is true that God is judge of the earth, but God doesn't always judge when we ask him to. God always has a time and a game plan. Lord, how long shall the wicked triumph? Again, it's a double statement here, which just doubles the burden upon the writer's heart of evoking vengeance and get back time of the Lord. These are hard times to swallow and to accept. And the word wicked in the Bible is generally translated wicked or criminal. Triumph talks about how long shall the wicked triumph or rejoice, shout, look what we've done. We look at how powerful we are. Look how great we are. And I think we all at some time or another understand about wicked people above us, whether it's governments or bosses or people that we've counted friends at one time that have turned against us. How long shall they utter and speak hard things? And all the workers of iniquity boast themselves. Utter means that they just gush forth out of pride and things hard and speak hard things, talking about they are speaking in pride and in arrogance, which go hand in hand. And all the workers of iniquity boast themselves. So this is a verse about how big they think they are. They break in pieces your people. They did that, O Lord, and afflict your heritage. God's people, Israel, is God's heritage, or his inheritance to the world. He specifies that time and time again. Israel was created so that God would have a nation that loved him and would serve him, and he would bless them, and the peoples of the world would see Israel as a shining light and a difference. And people would come and say, we've heard about this. Tell us about your God. Tell us about your nation. And they would be converted then. And people would be drawn back to the Lord worldwide. But Israel couldn't even hold that. They say the widow and the stranger and murder the fatherless. See, the enemies, and what I've written in red are just interest things to take away after we've left this chapter. The enemies of Israel go after the most vulnerable here, I've noted. Widows and the fatherless. It is these groups of people that the Lord takes special interest in the Old Testament, and especially to the church in the New Testament. Yet they say, the Lord shall not see, neither shall the God of Jacob regard it. So they're just saying, we can do what we want. Your God is no God. Where is he? Understand, you brutish among the people, and you fools. When will you be wise? And so brutish means stupid or barbarian. So he's calling them what they are. You just are so dense. Don't you see, or don't you get it? And so the psalmist is starting to turn here based upon the arrogance of the people that have just made them captives. And he goes on and talks about the Lord. And he that plants the ear or turns to listen, you'd say, well, why the word planted there? It's not a plant that grows in the ground. But have you ever heard the phrase that he planted his feet? It's sort of he dug in, that you just make yourself, I'm not going to move. I'm getting ready to resist here. And so it's he that's planted or dug in with his ear, shall he not hear? He that formed the eye, shall he not see? Saying about God's made your ear, God's made your eyes. Certainly you can see. He that chastises the heathen, shall he not correct? And so, see, with chastisement and discipline is for correction, to change a direction and a route and a lifestyle. He that teaches man knowledge, shall not he know? The Lord knows the thoughts of man, that they are vanity. Vanity is in Hebrew is vanity, or like a breath. Actually, it means nothing. It's nothing. It's empty. And so we come, and our focus all of a sudden is not about the woes of the writer and the woes upon his nation and his friends and his people, and the abuses he's taking. But now it comes to the hope of the Lord. Blessed is the man whom you chasten, O Lord, and teach him out of your law. Blessed, happy. Chasten is to discipline. I just mentioned that in the last verses. And understand that God, when we get out of step, God will chasten, discipline us to bring us back. And so, O Lord, you chasten, O Lord, and teaches him out of your law for instructions, for law and direction. Blessed is the man whom you chasten, O Lord, and teach out of your law. Just a repeat, that you may give him, here's the reason, that you may give him rest from the days of adversity until the pit be dug for the wicked. Adversity is evil, pit for death, actually. And so, Lord, you will discipline to change their mind, to change their hearts, to have them focus back on the Lord. And if they don't, nothing good's going to happen. For the Lord will not cast off his people, though. Neither will he forsake his inheritance. And cast off means just to cast away, like the psalmist feared that he said, Lord, give us hope. Let us know that you haven't tossed us away in the garbage pile of civilizations, that you love us, that you care about us. And here's the verse that turns things, I think, around big time in the psalm. For the Lord will not cast off his people. God, you may think that the Lord is far from you, but he's not cast you away. He's not tossed you. He's not thrown you away. And in this verse, God will not forsake Israel, but judgment shall return unto righteousness. And so this judgment they're going through, it will return and produce right living again in his people. And all the upright in the heart shall follow it. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? Unless the Lord had been my help, my soul had almost dwelt in silence. So except the Lord stepped in, unless the Lord had stepped in, my help, he said, my soul would have gone quiet, would have gone mute. When I said, my foot slips, your mercy, O Lord, held me up. Now watch what goes through on these verses right here when he says, if I'd done this, and the Lord steps in. In the multitude of my thoughts. First of all, he talks about his walk, his going. Now he talks about his thoughts. Thoughts within me, your comforts delight in my soul. Shall the throne of the iniquity have fellowship with you, which frames mischief by a law? So mischief is trouble, and a law is like making an ordinance or making a law. It's talking about, are you going to cause trouble in my life? No. They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. So this is what that they have chosen to do. They pass evil laws and they target the righteous, which is totally opposite of what God has ever intended or even God has ever said to do. But the Lord is my defense, and my God is the rock of my refuge, or my shelter. He's my protector. And he shall bring upon them their own iniquity. So may I just use a common phrase, what goes around comes around. And it is true that the Babylonian Empire did not last long past this. The Persians took them and just devastated them in a greater way. and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yes, the Lord our God shall cut them off. And so when it talks about bring, means to turn back on them, on their iniquity. And the word off, he'll cut them off, he'll put an end to it. He'll just stop it. It'll be no more. And so as we close this psalm off, just to share with you, just the wrap up, there's so much here. Yes, we get discouraged. Yes, we look out in our world. We live in our culture, in our country, and where we live, and we see evildoers. We see wickedness. We wonder, Lord, why are you allowing that to happen to God's people? Maybe to me? And so we have to look and we have to trust God. We have to examine our heart. But that has to be left in God's hands. And we need to trust Him. If I can help you in any way, there's a hard copy of this lesson. It's a Word document. I'll be glad to send it to you. Just email me. And may God bless you. And I trust you'll check in with us in Psalm 95.